or?
Oh, we never have a raise, never mind.
Raise.
I said, we need to be careful because we may not have quorums on some of these committees. Do you know if these guys are coming?
Hey, it's 5:30 and we'll call the City Council Committee regular meeting to order. First up is the Finance Committee, and I'd ask Councilman Basket.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. I'd ask Monica Harris to come up here and run through these budget adjustments for us, please, ma'am.
So now that we have our audit completed, we'd like to go through and adjust the budget for any carryovers of money that was encumbered but not spent. So our charter says that all appropriations lapse at the end of the fiscal year unless they're encumbered, well, spent, obviously, or encumbered, or if they're for a capital project. And so don't have a magic 8-ball that tells me exactly where all these projects and stuff are going to end. So we do our best when we're doing budgeting to, try to guesstimate. And then so what we do is we, after we get everything completed and closed out, we do our adjustments. So most of what we're looking at are just carryovers of unspent money. We did have some new items. So in the general fund, that'll decrease the fund balance by $603,151. In the water and wastewater fund, the fund balance will decrease $281,250. And in the hotel occupancy tax fund, the fund balance will decrease $6,570 from the new items. And I can go through these individually. Y'all would like that?
Please, ma'am.
Okay. So the first one is a new item, the expenditures for the new development services office, where we had, there were some computer supplies to get the internet and everything up and running for it. Actually the rent, and then there's a rental on a copier. The utilities, I estimated that. Office supplies, where they had to buy furniture and other things to get set up to run an office. And then there was some maintenance that we did to that building so we could fit into the space appropriately. That totaled up to $77,642 in total for that.
Bless you.
Another new item in the general fund is for some unanticipated building improvements for City Hall. We put in exhaust fans in the second floor bathroom, and then I don't know if you remember or not, but a couple months back we decided not to accept the generator grant. We were going to give it back to the state. They'd given us like $80,000 or so, and the cost was anywhere from $200,000 to like $350,000 for that generator. So as a compromise, we're doing some power connections for the server room and the AC feeding the server room. So that was a $5,156 for the connection for the server, and then the AC was $7,577. So that was the alternate for us giving up that generator grant, so that if we do lose power, we have a means to get a generator connected and keep things going in that server room. We carry over encumbered and unspent funds for the MSC building. It was for the floors and the painting. We were hoping to get those done before the end of the fiscal year, but timing with the contractors, we didn't quite get it done. So that's $52,572 that we're carrying over. Also in the finance department, we are still working on our executive time and attendance module with Tyler. That is a total of $70,733. That was encumbered last year that didn't get spent. The appraisal district, they give us their proposed budget and then they have a final budget. And so in between the timing it increased 11,000. I don't know what their total budget increased, I didn't look at that, but our allocation of it, and it's based on the certified values, increased 11,235. And there just wasn't enough money in that tax department to just suck that up, so. We had some weather-related damages to the Splashville. This is a net zero, so we had insurance proceeds of about $41,000, and so I've budgeted the maintenance repairs for 41. There'll be some other coming in as we get through the project. There's some other damage, but until we get into it, we won't see the totals on it yet. And then for our TIFMAS deployments in October through January of this year, we get, it's a net zero, and so that's broken out between the overtime for the firefighters out there, the deployment costs for the meals and the lodging, and then the rest of it I put into the vehicle maintenance, the equipment costs, because they pay us for the guys, the meals, and then also the equipment that they're using. But it's a net zero, but the total was about $285,000. Then we carried over the Motorola Solutions Rapid notification upgrade. That's $6,220. That's in the fire department. A carryover of the body armor grant in the police department for $18,213. Then back in February, we approved the tax note series 2026 for the 1.5 million gallon ground storage tank. We originally had in the budget for about $3 million. All said, all done. It ended up being $3,240,000. It's a net zero because we increased the proceeds, and then also the issue cost, and then the actual cost of the project went up, $187,000. In the water department, this is just a housekeeping thing. I don't even have to bring it to you because it's a net zero. We budget items for maintenance, and sometimes if they're large enough, they become capital, and so that's what we're doing. We did a repair on the Dunson well #1, but it's actually capital, so I'm just moving it from a operating line item to a capital. In the water utility utility billing and collections, we're carrying over. Earlier in the year, we had the presentation by New Gen Strategies on our water and sewer rate study that y'all approved. You know, the actual study and the concept of how we're going to do our billing moving forward, rate increases in the next 5 years. That was a carryover $20,951. We had some insurance proceeds for damage to the airport terminal. Again, it's a net zero. We increased the building maintenance by the $36,000, and then also the proceeds that we got. I believe that's when the plane crashed into the terminal building.
Ran into the terminal.
Okay, sounds a little bit better. In the tourism department, we increased the budget by $6,570. And that's because our city manager thought it was ridiculous that people had to come down to City Hall to get any merchandise. We wanted it to be able to get online and do it, and so this is the computer module for our website that will allows us to do that. We have in the customer service in the water department, additional funds of $120,000. This is new money. It's to replace aging meters and radios. This is our money maker. This is how we gauge how much water people are using, and so we bill for it. So in the street department, we carried over the from Jacob and Martin. This was back like in 2023. The courthouse Brick Street project design, there's PO out there for $52,031, and until you guys say we're not going to do that, we've just left it open and committed. And then also for J Mills contracting the city park parking lot resurfacing phase 1, $12,875. So that's a total of $64,906 that's carried over. In park improvements, we had $75,000. For park improvements for the Bosque River Trail. We didn't spend any of that last year, so I went ahead and carried it over. In the library, we had capital monies for an LED lighting retrofit of 3,000 and a new accessible ramp for 10. We didn't spend that money last year, so I went ahead and carried it over as well. In our building improvements for the Legacy Center, we carried over for Martin's office supply for the acoustic panels for the Legacy Center, $6,760. For our patrol vehicles and upfitting, we've carried over $148,073 from monies unspent last year. In the water, we carried over additional funds for the bond proceeds that haven't been spent of $580,855. Also in our water department for the Providence Engineering on the Lillian Pump Station Phase 2, we had carried over $90,750 for professional services, and so we have to increase that $17,300 just to get what's left on the PO. In December, on December 2nd, the council approved an award for a bid for city park sewer improvements. So this is new money in the water department for $161,250. Also in the water department for sewer, we carried over Park Hill, Smith and Cooper East Side Sewer Phase 1, $13,408. Our public management for the East Side Sewer Phase 1, $2,500, and then MH Civil Constructors East Side Sewer Phase 1, $779,806. So that's a total of $795,714. Also in the sewer, we carried over the Providence Engineering of the City Park 21-inch sewer line replacement for professional services of $4,750. In the treatment plant, we carried over the Providence Engineering wastewater treatment plant equipment replacement, $20,120. Smith Pump Company removal and inspection of our self-priming pump for $7,625. Ames Company's cleaning of the wastewater treatment plant aeration basins of $24,700. That's a total of $52,445. In the stormwater drainage fund, we carried over the Providence Engineering Chamberlain improvements, professional service of $47.50, and then for the Riverside Drainage Project, professional services of $37.50 for a total of $8,500. In the capital improvement funds, we carried over the park improvements for the ball field project of $937,953. In the public safety funds, we carried over $15,000 for the patrol traffic unit motorcycle trailer. And then for the preliminary development budget for City Hall, that was just approved at this last budget, last council meeting, we carried over, so this is kind of a two-phase. We're doing a transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund, and then we're showing the expense. So I know it shows down that same amount 3 different times, but one is a transfer from one fund to the other, and then the expenditure line item. Because I want to keep that money in the capital projects fund. It'll be easier for us to account for that project, should it come to fruition. And then we carried over for KSA Engineering on the airport layout plan, $32,918 in the airport improvements. The total of all those adjustments is $3,812,834. We have the breakdown on each fund, and I've already talked about what new money is. We also have the statement of activities of all funds and how it impacts our estimated fund balances and our estimated unrestricted cash balances as well. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Any questions from Monica? All right, hearing none, I will make the motion that we send the budget amendments for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2026 to council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, that concludes the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. We'll go to Parks and Leisure Service Committee, and I'll ask Councilman Basket to handle that, please.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Trussell, if you wouldn't mind letting us know about the contract with Sullivan Contracting Services.
Absolutely. So we are just coming to you tonight to try to get approval on this contract with Sullivan Contracting Services for repairs that, from the damage that was done during the winter storm. So we ended up with a lot of leaks in the ceiling to a bunch of lines up there that aren't insulated. And those leaks ended up causing damage as well to our electrical, some drywall, paint, things like that. So we've got an extensive contract here that outlines every piece of that. And so we've received, I think Monica alluded to this a minute ago, we've received a little over $41,000 in insurance money. The contract is for $55,000, and we know there's gonna be some back and forth in this process. There are some things where I think there's some cost savings for us. There's some plumbing in the old pump rooms that does have leaks in it. We need to cut that water off at the source. We don't need to repair those leaks particularly because that pump system's not gonna be used again. So we're gonna find some things in there when we go through the process. So I'll work with Sullivan myself to make sure that we uncover those things as we can and reduce this cost and try to get it down as close as we can to our $41,000 budget. We also know that we've talked to the adjuster on this deal, and he knows that there's gonna be some back and forth on this, and there's gonna be some things he missed. And so we feel like we're at a pretty good number and a pretty good place to start. And it's all local contractors working underneath Sullivan, so it's all people we know. And so we feel like we're in a pretty good place with it. And with that, I can answer any questions about it.
Any questions for Darren?
You still have a few repairs to be completed, is what you're saying still.
Well, so all the repairs we haven't even started work with them yet on this deal. So none of the leaks have been repaired. The water is currently off to the entire building, as well as the electrical has been shut off at the main. So we won't turn the electrical back on or any of that, or even turn the water on until we start to repair leaks. And then we'll start to turn the water on, see what leaks we haven't seen, and go through a process to repair them all as we go. We won't even start electrical work until we get every leak shored up, and then we'll go back and start the electrical process from there.
Mr. Nix?
I hadn't thought about this, I apologize, but I know we don't get long, cold freezes here, generally speaking. Is there a way to frost-proof that? I know they make some fittings and things that do better than others, or a way to better insulate it to prevent that again. Part of this is gonna be taken out, you said, so that will alleviate some of the problems.
Bits of it, but the problem is, and so all your plumbing in this, none of it's ran through the foundation, all of it's ran in the attic of that building, and the attic is pretty much open air. Because the eaves are open underneath, so you're allowing airflow through there. So whatever temperature it is outside is pretty much the temperature on the inside of the building, except for those AC areas within the building. It's not a unique problem to us. We were like the fourth facility the adjuster had been to with the exact same, like a very similar design for the pool house. I think we're just gonna have to figure out a better way to winterize it long-term, because that water's gonna have to stay on. This is not a 2.5 to 3 month facility now. This is gonna be a 12-month facility. So we have to have water to the bathrooms. We typically have the water shut off to the bathrooms in the winter, and we did, but the lines still have water now. We're not even gonna shut it down now. So we do need to find an answer. I don't know if you can seal up some of the gaps in the eaves and possibly spray foam it or something like that, but
Okay,
we'll look into some solutions so that we hopefully don't have this problem again long-term.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Darren? With that, I'll make the motion that we send the contract with Sullivan Contracting Services to council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, motion passes.
All right, thank you.
That
Thank you.
concludes the Park and Leisure Services Committee.
Thank you. We'll go to Development Service Committee, Councilman Gerald Cook.
Thank you, Mayor. We have couple of, and I've gotta get to it here. We've got a couple of, different items to, bring up, and then we're gonna ask, if Dan would come up first and talk about the vaping issue.
Thank you, Mr. Cook, and for your committee. So obviously, one of the charges of my position as police chief here in the city of Stephenville is to keep bad things out of this city. And we are overwhelmed, we're continually becoming overwhelmed with electronic smoking devices that I'll continue to refer to as vapes. And so the presentation tonight from Mr. Killen and I is to ask your permission to go forth, develop a vape shop ordinance for the city of Stephenville, preventing further shops from being able to take an establishment here. Bottom line is these vapes, these marijuana THC vapes are targeted for minors. They are everything from earbuds to highlighters, to you name it, they're being designed for that. But they're also being designed to thwart the legal interdiction by us of narcotics. And that's what's being sold in our vape shops. So the state of Texas in legislation, there is more legislation to follow, but their legislation is being and continues to be created to enforce this. But I believe we need to get ahead of this. We're seizing these devices weekly in our high school, and it's extremely concerning for us. It's concerning for our parents, and the long-term effects of habitual use of these. Fellow police chiefs that I'm working with in the Texas Police Chiefs Association, we are drastically concerned about the future of these THC or these marijuana style vapes. And so we have, Mr. Killen and the police department, we've been working on a draft ordinance that we would like to ask your permission to take that before P&Z for, known as our new vape shop ordinance. And so I'm new to that part of the world of developing those, the zoning type ordinances. And so Mr. Killen has been a great help to me in drafting that ordinance,
Okay.
that draft ordinance.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
did you,
Do we have the ordinance, chief?
we don't have the ordinance.
It's not in the packet. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was in the packet. I can get you a copy. We can real quick with it.
That would
I think
help.
the members.
I'm sorry. I thought it was in the packet.
No, sir.
Okay. If you want to talk
Steve, you
about
wanna
it.
kind of talk about the process here?
Yes, sir. So, thank you, Chief. This particular ordinance that we are proposing, again, in draft format right now, few things that we have talked about trying to accomplish in the ordinance, and the reason we're thinking that it probably needs to go to Planning and Zoning Commission is because a lot of this is going to be kind of touching on Chapter 154, which is our land use regulations. So anything that affects our land use regulations, of course, has to go to P&Z, and then they'll make a recommendation back to the city council on whatever we propose, if they think it's something that the city should pursue or not. So one thing that we've kind of touched on, and with this ordinance, of course, we want to create some definitions, and one thing that I've just recently talked to the chief about is currently we have tobacco shops as permitted uses. And we want to make sure that we can delineate from a tobacco shop to what a vape retail store will look like. And so we don't want to push anything out, but at the same time, we do want to try to focus on this particular type of retail establishment. We are thinking about maybe trying to approach this on a percentage of sales or maybe square footage of what the retail products are for this particular concern. And so that's a little fluid right now. We don't really know where that's going to land. But we're looking at a way to try to delineate from the permitted use of a tobacco shop to regulating what we're wanting to control, as the chief touched on earlier, with these vape products.
How do you deal with businesses that are already in place and selling vape.
Yes, sir.
products.
So that's,
You talk about Allsup's and Murphy's
yes, sir.
and all those places, and most of the convenience stores sell this stuff.
So, and I'm gonna ask the chief to step in if I state something that's incorrect, but, after visiting with the police department, I understand that, the main shops that we're talking about, trying to control, we currently have about 3 in the city. And so what we're looking at is allowing those shops to continue as a legal non-conforming use, as our chapter 154 would allow, and then limit any new shops that meet these criteria from coming into the city. At the chief's, as I mentioned, I talked to the police department. One thing that we wanted to kind of mention tonight that was discussed and maybe being proposed as an option is for these existing businesses, even though they will be considered a legal non-conforming use, is to have them apply for the continuation of that legal non-conforming use. And with that application, there would be a fee, an inspection process, and then that they would certify that they comply with Article 10, Section 130, which is our prohibited substances ordinance that's already on the books. And so it would create I guess, a level of regulation for businesses that are going unregulated at the moment. And we would try to bring in some other regulations that, again, we probably need to visit with our city attorney to see if that's a possibility. Because if they're existing business, I don't know that we can come in and suddenly take certain uses away from them, such as drive-through windows if they already have one. And so that's something that we need to touch on. As far as enforcement, we would like this to be, if an existing business that continues as a legal non-conforming use does not meet the requirements of the ordinance, that we could take action to actually require them to no longer have that non-conforming use through some type of legal process. Has severability clause and effective date. Again, I've kind of come in on the tail end of this, so I don't want to take too much of the credit from the police department. They've been working on it and consulting with some of their other agencies across the state. But in essence, we're wanting to create a way to limit the number of vape shops that are coming into the city, but not necessarily take away those that are currently in operation. Just give them a platform to continue, but obviously have them continue under legal guidelines. And Chief?
Mr. Cook, I would just add to that, we would conduct law enforcement operations also to ensure that our current stores are not breaking the law about what they're selling. And so some of that may include undercover operations or different things like that, but enforcement type to ensure that they're not selling products that are illegal. So you have regular tobacco vapes, but then what we're targeting is the THC vapes, which is the marijuana type vapes that are causing us the problems and are illegal. Yes, sir.
Are there any stores in the permitting process or actively right now wanting to come into town?
We have one that is actually getting their CO now. They started this process a few months ago, and so.
Is that one of the
Kinda running
3 that you
concurrently.
mentioned, or is this an additional one?
I'm sorry?
Is that one of the 3
This will
that you
be in
mentioned?
addition to the 3.
So this will be the 4th one?
Yes, sir.
And that's the only one, there's no others?
Not to my
Not
knowledge.
right now.
I think what kind of generated this was one that we had come on. There was a person that expressed interest in one of the vacant commercial buildings around here, obviously in the city. And that led me to reaching out to Chief Harris to see if this was something that we might want to consider before it, really takes off with in popularity. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Chief, can you kind of tell us a little bit more about, you're having problems at the high school level? And are you having even some at the junior high level?
Yes, sir, we're both. I like to use the city of Allen as an example of this. And they're either 42 or 43 square miles, but they have a vape shop average of 1 for every square mile in the city. And what happened a couple of years ago is a group of parents came to the chief of police and said, these vapes are killing our kids. They're causing them to have mental problems that are gonna last them forever. And so that raised the ear, of the Texas Police Chiefs Association, to where he said, we've got to all look at our cities and see what we can do about that and what we can do legally, what actions we can take. And so then you fast forward to us, just in this school year, I don't have the exact numbers with me right now, with that, but we are literally seizing vapes weekly. And so some of those will be tobacco related, but many of them are THC vapes. And so I met with the county attorney recently as she handles those juvenile prosecutions, to working together the fullest extent of law and to do everything we can in our power from every different direction to stop that and rid them from our schools. We've made one manufacturer and delivery case of a student. In other words, we've arrested one dealer so far. And with juvenile names, can't go into those details, nor will you see those online. But major concern for us. Yes, sir.
Major
Sheriff.
concerns enough for me.
Any other questions?
I'm not on the committee, may I
Go
ask a
ahead.
question? Chief, how are other cities dealing with this? Clearly, it's not a problem that's unique to us. How are other cities coming up with ordinances and similar things to
Yeah.
this?
Yes, sir. We're taking it to the highest level and wanting to prevent any others from coming in. But everything you see in that ordinance, other cities have shared with us that they're doing, taking either parts of it or, like I said, not the complete thing, but we've consulted with multiple cities, both in the Houston Metroplex area, DFW, and around the state to say, what are you doing? And that's how we've come up with this ordinance.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Along
you.
with some other enforcement operations that I won't mention in here today. Yes, sir. If that's okay.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, do you mind?
No, please.
If I'm reading this right, and I could be reading it wrong,
It's draft, sir.
but, so, it looks like it's saying here that an existing shop cannot sell or transfer the ownership to another person. So are we saying that they can't sell their business?
No, we're not saying that they can't sell their business. We were saying that you can't sell it and continue as a vape shop.
Does that,
Okay.
oh, sorry. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does that mean it can't, were you done, David? I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine.
I
Yeah,
think
Lots
my
of legal
question- I think
challenges.
my
I can be
question's gonna
done. I mean,
answer your question.
I feel like I feel like we'd have some kind of legal concerns over that because we're making it where somebody can't sell their business.
Well, my question was gonna be, does it mean that it can't continue as a vape shop if they apply for,
Correct. We're gonna prohibit it from existing here in the city
so it's, if they sell their shop,
because of their sale
they're
of
shut
illegal
down?
products. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So in
That's
other
good.
words, those that are already in operation are grandfathered in.
Yes, sir.
But if they change ownership or change what they're doing, or they get caught doing something, then they get shut down.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Steve, could you go over the next steps as we go, if we choose to do this, we recommend that the planning commission?
Yes, sir,
I assume
because,
it would go through them and then they would, hold a public hearing, correct?
correct.
And, how long will it take to get the ordinance in final form? Because this is a little ways away from final form.
Yes, sir. So I think PD and Development Services could commit to trying to have a draft prepared for Randy Thomas and City Manager to review, where we could maybe still make the May, I believe, May 20th P and Z meeting. We have to make that decision quickly because the notice to the paper has to go to the paper on Monday. So we will need to move quickly on
Does the ordinance have
that.
to be completed by that time?
I think
Or
it needs
just
to be,
announcement of it?
that's a great question. I personally would want it to be very close to final form, because if they make a recommendation to you, we are presenting that ordinance to them to decide if they want to send it to you with a positive or negative recommendation. So I think it would have to be very close.
So we'd be looking at, if we, if we waited until we had a final draft on this thing, which would be by the next council meeting?
Mr. Chair, may I make a
Would we?
can I make a recommendation?
Yes,
to
sir.
you? I think there's clearly some questions amongst some of you, and we've just laid this in front of you. I might suggest that the committee, maybe we slow this down just a little bit, because it is land use, and it is
Well,
business owners and those things, and we bring it back to you, the committee, in a proposed final form. And in between now and then, if you have questions or suggestions on the ordinance, you can send them to me and those things before we send it down to P and Z for recommendations.
hell, that's kind of what I was getting at
Yes, sir.
here with regard to if we put our time on this thing, that we have it ready for 2 weeks from now when we have a council meeting
No, I think
Are
we,
you-
I think we plan on coming back
to the committee.
in the middle of the month.
Now, we could have a committee meeting before then.
Yes, sir, you're also gonna have some changes, people changes somewhere in there too.
In that case, then we go for the middle of the next month,
Yes, sir.
okay, for the next committee meeting. Is that all right with you guys? Is that all right with the committee?
Yes.
Okay? Count on that. We'll do that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay? The next item has to do with granting and this is I asked a question about this earlier. Municipal court's jurisdiction on health and safety and nuisance abatement ordinances. And, Steve, I'm sorry, you're gonna be up here again, but.
That's okay.
But, really, the reason for it, as Jason and Randy and you have told me, frankly, is that, what this really deals with are those, inspections that are done on, not only on buildings, but yards and things like that, complaints that are made with regard to overgrown issues and all that come through development services. And that's the reason that it's being, looked at this point. And also the fact that the legislature has granted cities the authority to be able to, run this through the municipal courts rather than going through the county court of jurisdiction. So, Steve, I hope I didn't take too much of what you were gonna say, but anyway, just as an introduction to it, if you would, go through that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilman. So this is basically a modification or revision to the Government Code, Section 29003, that came in effect September 1st, 2025, from SB 304. And simplistically stated, because that's what I understand, basically, the legislature gave the governing body of cities that have a non-court of record the ability to confer this authority to a non-court of record. This authority already existed for cities that have a court of record, and so they just expanded that to where if the governing body chooses to do so, our non-court of record will have the same powers as a court of record in relation to nuisance and safety ordinance violations. And so the reason that I'm involved in this, more or less, is because part of Development Services responsibilities is our code enforcement division. And within code enforcement, we enforce your local ordinance such as high grass, junk vehicles, properties that have improper storage violations or rubbish or discarded items on the property. And then also with our building department, if we have a dilapidated structure or something that we need to pursue through one of those chapters, the processes are pretty limited. And so what this would grant us is the ability to go to the municipal court with city attorney oversight and ask for inspection warrants, seizure warrants, junk vehicle abatement, which is basically having it towed and sent to a demolisher by state law. And so there are some powers that this would grant our court without having to go through a higher court. And I believe in talking with Mr. Thomas, the process in the past has been going to a county court, going to one of the county court and asking them to give us the powers to do this. So it would just make it a little more straightforward for us. Currently, we have a case on a property here in town that we have been working for several months. We have given extension after extension. We are to the point where we need to get this cleaned up. We can't go onto the property to remove these items without some type of warrant, because what we're doing is taking something that may not look like it has any value to anyone else. Our perceived value is that it's a discarded item, but to that person that owns that item, there may be a significant value to it. So we need a court to be able to authorize us to do that. And so I don't want to go continue to ramble, but if you have any questions, I'll certainly try to answer that. We're basically looking at the powers to address things such as dangerous or substandard structures, junk vehicles, high weeds, accumulated refuse, unsanitary premises, and nuisance code violations. The reason that's referred to as health and safety is because the health and safety code of the state gives us the powers through that express code, the health and safety code. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer it. We did talk to, one point I do need to make, this does involve the municipal court, which I don't oversee the municipal court, but we did meet with the staff, city attorney, the city judge, and the city manager about this, and the consensus is that we would bring this before the committee for consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Randy, could you, are there any pluses or minuses to the city with regard to any liabilities?
No minuses that I'm aware of, but the pluses, I think he described them. We've got junk probably all over the city. All you have to do is drive down some of the streets, and we haven't been able to do anything except empty threats. And we have a criminal penalty that goes along with it too. But most of those people are not easy to find. They're not really the ones you want to prosecute. We'd rather just clean up the mess, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, in the past, I bet we've had some of the times when we went in and got stuff when we might not should have, and that's no admission on my part, but in other words, we just got it cleaned up, and we need to make it right and give these folks that are busy up there trying to clean up the city a weapon to use. There's no minus to it at all.
Any questions from the board? Jason, is there anything you'd like to?
I think I'd echo some of what Randy said, and from a functionality point, just from remembering kind of my days over at PD when we were helping development services, when you have to petition in front of the district court or the county court at law, trying to stand in line in the docket and those things, I think the municipal court is certainly a more nimble court for Mr. Thomas to be able to get stuff in front of the magistrate and get action taken. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Leanne?
Well, I was just gonna ask, I mean, how many times do you think we're gonna have to use this? I mean, just ballparking. Is this gonna be a weekly thing that we're gonna be going in front of the court, or is it?
No, I don't anticipate it being that
I
frequent.
think
I don't know that we have the resources to devote that much time to going to the court, but if we, there's plenty of work across this city if we
I
could
agree.
get to it. So we work kind of the more extreme cases, and we rely on willful compliance. But when we don't get willful compliance, we need a mechanism to close that gap.
Right,
And this would just give us that mechanism.
right, okay.
Any other questions from anybody on the council?
Mr. Chairman, just want to point out, this is not a 154 issue, so it wouldn't have to go to P and Z, but I think we do need to get an ordinance put together for consideration. And I've got a draft ordinance that looks like it's been done very well from another city. And so we would just ask for your direction on in that respect.
What's the will of the committee?
So we need to just, send this to council to grant the,
We can do that.
municipal
and
court
with,
jurisdiction?
Understanding that the ordinance will be prepared and be ready for the council at the next meeting.
Thanks, sir.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
Sure, I move to, that we grant the municipal court jurisdiction of health and safety and nuisance abatement ordinances per section 29.003 of the government code.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. So this will go to the council with a recommendation that, for consideration to the new ordinance.
Thank you, sir.
That will establish it through the municipal court.
Appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go to Public Health and Safety Committee, Councilman Dean Parr.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So the first on our list, we need to consider recommendation of memorandum of agreement for the 287G task force model. And I will ask Chief Harris to come up and explain that.
Thank you, Mr. Parr, and the Public Health and Safety Committee. Since 9/11, since the terrorist attacks of 9/11, when the U.S. Department of Homeland Security was formed, the administrations have developed programs asking for local agencies to assist in helping make safer communities. And that is what the 287G program is part of with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And so what is in front of you there today, and hopefully that MOA is in there with you in the packet, that just recently, the city manager and I and the district attorney were part of the last meeting after the sheriff's office here, Dublin Police Department, our Texas Department of Public Safety, our local agencies had a separate one just from similar to that. We have what's called the task force model. And what that involves is by signing this MOA, it empowers us as a local law enforcement agency after training and oversight and going through that. But if we identify and come across someone who is either pending removal charges from this country or are criminal, both criminal and administrative, it gives us the opportunity or the ability, the authority, the legal authority to take action and remove that person and turn that over to that person to the appropriate authorities and remove that person. And as I'd mentioned historically related to that, the federal government doesn't want to do that at our expense, and so they handle the expenses. So I'll give you an example of what this entails is if I have a law enforcement officer that has over 2 years of service, which is 32 currently of the 43 sworn officers in the Stephenville Police Department, and we sign them up under this MOA, all 32, in the next 2 years, that's $1.9 million that goes for multiple things. I'll explain that to you. Is $7,500 per equipment per trained officer per quarter. That's $7,500 for IT equipment per trained officer per quarter. It's $100,000 for new vehicles per this agreement. And salary and benefits reimbursed, and we've more details to follow related to that, and up to 25% of overtime should that be necessary of their salary. So that 1.9 million I mentioned to you, that's only the first 15,000 per quarter per officer. That doesn't include the remainder of those benefits. And I'll give you an example of what that is like. If we identify someone on a routine traffic stop, if we identify someone on a criminal case that is causing harm to someone here in this community, inside our city limits, and we believe them that they are not legal to be in the United States of America, we have the authority under the federal government to take action and turn that person over under their guise and their supervision turn them over to them and remove them from the city and remove them from harm. Now, we can do two things. We can continue our local criminal case, or we can dismiss that and turn them over to the federal case only, or we can do both together. It is a program that will make this community safer, and there are no requirements for us to go out and hunt them, find them, or any type of thing like that. It's merely as if we come across them in our duties. There are no quotas, nothing like that. All of that is prohibited and not allowed.
Just gives you the training needed.
Yes, sir. So it starts with a 40-hour training class on this that is also free to the city. It does not cost us.
Any questions?
Mr. Parr, I'm not on your committee, but may I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Do they have minimum or maximum numbers of the department that they will accept as far as entering into this agreement with them? And they provide the training, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
On the training, and no maximum number. The only requirement they have is that they have at least 2 years as a sworn law enforcement officer of service.
Not
So in
necessarily.
other words, basically not a brand-new rookie. Sorry. Excuse me.
Okay, not necessarily with our department, but 2 years of law enforcement service.
Correct. We've recently hired 5 lateral officers, and they have between 3 and 20 years of service. And so those, even though they're brand new to the City of Stephenville Police Department, they would be eligible
Okay.
to be a task force officer.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
If I might,
Go right ahead.
how many then do we have that would be eligible for this,
32.
all of them?
No, we have 43 total sworn, but we have 2 vacancies, so really 41 right now.
Okay,
32 of the 41.
it sounds like a
No brainer.
interesting, like a no-brainer. It's a, kind of a grant program,
Yes, sir.
because, well, it sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Chief, so if this was granted, when would it start?
Immediately, as soon as we can complete the paperwork and the training. Yes, sir. So, just, again, as soon as we can get that done.
Do they come here for the training, or do we have to send everybody to them somewhere?
No, it starts online,
Okay.
with them teaching it to us, the Zoom type that way.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
How has this went over with the officers?
So, not a day goes by that they don't want someone removed from this country, I mean, this city that's causing us problems. And I don't mean illegal, I just mean, hey, this person we've encountered in the course of our duties that is causing problems. And so, it's excitement in that sense, but knowing that there's caution, that you do it right and you don't get it wrong. And that's no different on any Fourth Amendment arrest, a violation that we make. We want to make sure, if we're gonna take someone's freedom away, we have that spot on 100% correct.
Thank
And
you.
we don't make a mistake doing that.
Thank you.
It's
Yes, sir.
another
We
tool.
cooperate with ICE right now, don't we?
So there's 2 Border Patrol agents in Abilene, one that I worked for in my previous agency, or worked with. And so in the past, we have turned them over to them when we've encountered or had an issue there. But this would change that to go to their detectives, which is what's considered Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
I see.
We would be required to turn them over to them.
Okay.
Yes, sir. There was another question.
It's another tool for y'all to use.
To make Stephenville safer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And get paid for it too.
Paid very well for it.
Mhm.
Yes, sir. The state of Texas, in talking to them again today, they're adding another 100 troopers as we speak today to the program
Hmm.
in the state.
Any other questions? Okay, then I'd like to make a motion that we have Chief Harris enter into agreement for the 287G task force model and send that on to council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
And then next on the list, oh,
Hold the vote, sir. You got a motion and a second, hold the vote.
hold the vote. All in favor? Okay, second up, we have, need to consider recommendation of automated license plate reader cameras with the TxDOT agreement. Chief Harris.
Yes, sir. There's a resolution in your packet that just you would authorize me to begin work with the Texas Department of Transportation for the placement of 6 automated license plate reader cameras that were approved in previous budget. They're in the budget there. And what this agrees to is that we determine the best location, which, as you know, these multiple highways come into the city. Those are TxDOT highways. And so what the state of Texas has done so far has placed cameras that are leaving the city. We want to place cameras coming into the city. And there are so many things out there. They're not doing facial recognition. They are trying to keep bad people from this city. You've stole a car, you're wanted for murder. But multiple times already with the ones that the council approved a couple of years ago that are in our patrol cars, which are not stationary, they're just moving. Our first save on that was a Silver Alert out of Fort Worth, where she had no idea where she was at, and she had left home in Fort Worth, and we were able to return, first to the hospital, get her checked out, and return her home. And so the amount of public safety this would create for Stephenville is enormous too. But what this is asking for tonight is approval to work with TxDOT on these 6 locations, which would be in conjunction with the state locations.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Okay. That, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to council that Chief Harris enter into agreement with TxDOT regarding automated license plate reader cameras.
Second.
All 4?
Aye.
Motion passes. And then the last one we have is consider recommendation of MOA, Multi-Jurisdictional Special Operations Group, Region 8, SOG. Chief Harris.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Since 2010, the Stephenville Police Department has participated in just in simple terms, a regional SWAT team. That's with Hood County, Granbury, Somerville, and us here locally. And what that is we pull our resources and money to provide a state-of-the-art, top-notch professional law enforcement SWAT team. For example, last call out was Friday night in Granbury for a subject who was wanted and fleeing with a gun and had barricaded himself. And so we utilize all of our resources because we're all smaller agencies to protect this region. And what this does, and Mr. Thomas has helped me with this one also again, is just firms up some language and updates our MOA a little bit that, and by the way, Dublin is joining this group also, is that it just fine tunes paperwork from, almost 15 plus years ago. So no issues. We continue. And what has been approved in this budget and previous budgets is each agency contributes $15,000 and personnel up to a minimum of 5 if you have it, personnel to participate in training and response when needed to the region. Yes, sir.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I make the motion that we, recommend for Chief Harris to, approve the MOA of the budget item of $15,000 annually.
No, it's just the agreement, the
I'm sorry, I was
multi-jurisdictional
reading the wrong thing.
special operations agreement.
Consider approving the MOA for the multi-jurisdictional special operations group, Region 8, SOG.
Thank you. Sorry, that's long.
No, that was not.
All
those
4?
are-
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, motion passes.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, that concludes Public Health and Safety Committee.
Thank you, Chair. Public Works Committee, Mr. Nix.
Thank you, Mayor. First item on the Public Works agenda is some improvements, continuing additions to our new well field. The city's new well field has 5 operational wells. We are trying to implement a system that will incorporate them into the SCADA, which is the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition System that we use on the other producing wells in the rest of the well fields. By implementing this system, it will put all of these in the same system and simplify the operation so that from one center, all of the wells can be monitored and can be adjusted and can be used to their best capabilities and continue to provide adequate water storage capabilities and water production capabilities for our citizens. This was a budgeted item for this year's budget. We have a system in place now that is a proprietary system. The programming particle parts of it are proprietary to this particular company. And because SmartCover is the company that has written the codes for the existing system, we can't go out and put it for bid because it will not be compatible with the existing system. By using them to write the codes for the new wells and put all of the equipment in place, they will then become a functional part of the entire system and be controlled as the rest of the system is. The money was budgeted for this. It'll take approximately 210 days to have all the equipment ordered and in place and functioning. Staff recommends doing this to simplify the operation and to make the operation of our well fields more efficient and longer lasting for all of this. Do we have any questions? I would make a motion then to approve the purchase of the SCADA system improvements for Nick's well field for wells 1 through 5 from SmartCover for a total of $118,069.
Second.
Second, or sorry. Already got it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, that will go to the council with a positive recommendation. Second item is an item that we have been dealing with for some time, the drainage, stormwater drainage on North Graham at the railroad crossing. We improved this to a certain extent when TxDOT came through and improved Graham Avenue, but we still have problems because part of the drainage after it crosses through some difficult areas to transit, and some of the piping is not consistent and it's undersized. And to properly do this, we really need to have an engineer design something that will handle this water flow and prevent some of the flooding issues that we've had with adjacent properties. Kimley Horn has a proposal for us to design this for us. It's a lengthy process. We budgeted $100,000 for this, and they have come in at $95,000. Not only do they have to deal with the flow from upstream, but they have to deal with the downstream discharge. They have to coordinate with TxDOT and the Fort Worth and Western Railroad, all of which can be time-consuming and sometimes not as easy as it should be. But they have expertise and experience in both of these areas, and the professional service agreement was included in the packet for y'all to look at. Kimley Horn has done work for the city before, and the funding for this will come from the stormwater fund, and the fund has adequate resources to cover that. Staff recommends that we go ahead with the engineering of this, and part of the engineering will include estimated cost of construction so that we can, in the future, once we have this in hand, begin to look to when and where we will have the funding available in that stormwater fund to take care of that. Questions?
So we're talking about north of here, right there?
North Graham at the
Yeah.
intersection of Graham and the railroad track, and it's actually on the north side of the railroad track.
And we did have some pretty extensive flooding over there last year, I believe, correct?
This is the drainage that goes across Miss Betty Hale's
Yeah.
property.
Okay.
It was put in a long time ago,
Yeah.
way undersized for the volume that's going through there today. Now, there's some check marks that gotta be done, as we go through this process. We need a drainage easement, and that'll be handled, through Public Works. But Nick's been working with Mr. Hale for quite some time to get us kind of to this point and move us forward, but it's gotta be fixed.
Yeah, it was pretty bad last time.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm good.
Okay. Motion?
I will make the motion to proceed with the proposal as presented.
I'll second it.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that will go to council with a positive recommendation. Last on the list is allocation, and Monica touched on this in her presentation. We, in 2015, actually prior to 2015, we began to notice that we were having a significant number of problems with our, what at that time were mechanical water meters. We worked on those meters and repaired them and did the best to keep them in service and keep them accurate, but with almost anything mechanical, the first time it turns, it begins to wear and it loses accuracy. So in an effort to upgrade, we replaced the meters in our system at that time with more modern electronic meters that are more accurate and have an extended lifespan, considering the repairs and other things we were having to do to the other meters at that time. Now those meters are nearing the end of their life cycle. It's time to start repairing, which we already have started repairing, and some of them will need to be replaced. Staff recommends approving a $120,000 allocation from utility reserves to the customer service maintenance account to acquire additional meters and additional equipment, the radio transmitters and meter boxes and wires and other things that would go in to repairing and installing new meters as necessary. Monica verified that the money was available in that fund. It still leaves us a balance in that utility reserve fund for other issues that we might have to deal with, but this will help us improve our service to the customer. It will also help us improve the accuracy of our reading, which includes our revenue source, but it's also a guarantee that all of our all of our monitoring and metering will be done fairly to both parties, the city and the consumer as well. Staff recommends doing that because this will ensure that the two additional personnel that we've added will have equipment and meters to work with and continue to be able to proactively deal with these things as they need to deal with them. It's pretty straightforward. The meter itself is the device that measures what the city is able to, what the customer uses and what the city is able to bill for. And that is our revenue source. Our primary revenue source is the water usage that goes through these meters. Questions? Yes, sir?
Mr. Chair, maybe Nick can answer this, but how long do these last?
Lifespan.
new ones.
If you don't mind, I'll take this one,
Okay.
because I have a bone to pick on this whole thing, and Nick's well aware of it. We did all this a little over 10 years ago, and it was supposed to be a 20-year, that's how it was sold, was a 20-year deal. They were guaranteed for 10.
And
We're just past
now we're
10. We're taking a big swing at this because they're failing faster than we can replace them. But I'm not ready to recommend to you guys that it's time to swap the whole system like we did a little over 10 years ago. And trust me, the people from the company have heard from me a few times, and I think we're scheduling some more meetings for that. And they hear quite regularly from both me and Ms. Harris, because as you pointed out, when we sell water, this is how we know how much we're selling and how to bill people. When the meter quits working, then we're not selling it, we're giving it. And so, Mr. Williams is hoping that by taking this swing, this will give us enough stock to get us through the year on replacing the ones. And it's, really, it's affecting those customer service guys, because they're out there busting their rear, trying to make gains and get this done. And they kind of feel like sometimes they're stuck in neutral, because they're replacing a whole bunch of meters, but the list doesn't get any shorter. It's because we're adding new ones.
All the time.
Yeah. And
So the final solution will be to replace
At some point.
eventually, or
At some
all
point.
of them,
I don't think we're there yet.
but then you're dealing with two types of systems,
Right.
right?
So, we continue to work with the company that sold us everything.
Okay. Well, thank you. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate the information.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion that we send the, funding for the additional water meter replacements for fiscal year 25-26 to council with a positive recommendation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That will go to the council with a positive recommendation also. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my committee meeting.
So that will conclude our city council committee regular meeting. We'll adjourn at 6:40. And I will call to order at 6:40 our city council special meeting. Public Health and Safety Committee, Dean Parr, Chair.
Yes, sir. We talked about the Public Health and Safety Committee report from April 21st, 2026, items 1 and 2. Wouldn't that be 2 and 3? Okay. So we need to consider approval of memorandum of agreement for the 287G task force model.
Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make the motion that we approve the MOA for the 287G task force model.
Any discussion before the second? Any discussion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3,
Mr. Mayor, that's consider approval of automatic license plate reader cameras through text dot agreement.
do I have a motion?
So move.
Any discussion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we will go to executive session and we'll recess. We're going to be in compliance with the provisions of Texas Open Meeting Law, Subchapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Code, annotated in coordinates with number 4, Section 551-074, personal matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, and evaluation, reassignment, duties, and discipline or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to wit, local health authority. We will also go to Section 551-072, deliberation regarding real property, to deliberate the purchase and exchange, lease, or value of the real property, to wit, real property located in S5400 Park Place Addition and S4000 Groesbeck and McLennan Addition. And in Section 551-072, deliberation regarding real property, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or the value of the real property, to wit, real property located at S4000 on Grousbeck and McLennan Addition. It is 6:42 and we will be back. We'll reconvene the special meeting at 7:03. And actions taken, discussed in executive session. Leanne?
I would like to make the motion to renew the agreement with Dr. Kelly Doggett as the local health authority for the city of Stephenville.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Councilman Nick?
Mayor, I've got two motions to make. The first one is to begin the abandonment process for St. Peter Street as discussed in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Second item is to also begin the abandonment process for St. Felix Street from Tarleton to Turner as discussed in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. It is 7:04, and we will adjourn this city council special meeting.